Welcome to another Grit and Grime basketball podcast. I'm your host, as always, David Sago, here with my right-hand man, Thomas Arnold. I'm going to point, just going to throw it out there.
100%. Yeah,
there we go. I am going to guess, wait, if Tom's there, then that means Jose is there?
Right here,
Nope.
right here.
Right
Hi.
here.
There?
There, yeah.
There we go.
Perfect. Yep.
Jose. And that means that we have our special guest right here, Paul Bacon, joining us from Orlando Magic, UK.
Yes.
How you doing, guys? Hi. Thanks for having
All
me.
right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. So we just wanted to jump in and give the viewers a little taste of magic this time of year. It's the dog days of the year, cold out.
Our season's been dog days all years, so we've got used to it.
Most of the league, I know the Lakers haven't been in the best of form either. So yeah, let's sprinkle a little magic on the pod at this difficult time of the year. You are part of Orlando Magic UK, and
That's right, yeah. 1/5.
For those that don't know, you guys are probably the most connected of the UK groups in the NBA UK fans. I don't know, what is it, a conglomerate?
Yeah, hey,
at this
community.
point.
Let's go with community.
Corporation.
I don't know if they'd want us counting their pockets like that. So just tell us a bit about the organization and how you joined and the guys that are over there and what you guys have been doing.
We've got a shout out first of all to Mikey and Garant, who started this in 2016.
Yeah.
Came about that we were all Magic fans, but in 2016 the Magic came across to the UK to play the Toronto Raptors at the global gathering games in the O2 in London.
Yeah.
And Mikey and G met up there.
Okay.
From there they got talking and decided to get this community started, Magic Community on Twitter, and it's grown from there. Now I came in a few months after, basically because I'd been voicing opinions, and Mikey just contacted me and said, "Hey, you fancy getting involved?" And it's gone from there. We've obviously we're active on Facebook, TikTok now, which one of the new guys, Connell, is doing. We've also got Gary Craggs, who's come in and he's doing a few articles with myself on the website, which we've got orlandomagicuk.com, and we've also got the Instagram going. Everything can be found at Orlando Magic UK. And we've just been very fortunate in that I've got some good connections through friends in the club who help us out, getting some really excellent guests on. We've been very fortunate. It's very hard to go higher in the Magic than getting Alex Martins on, who is our CEO.
Wow.
A controversial guest, not a popular person amongst a lot of Magic fans.
Yeah.
And we got some criticism on that particular pod for not asking hard questions. We're not journalists, we're fans. At the end of the day, I don't think it's appropriate to have somebody like that on and go, why did you do this and why did you do that? You're there to get their side of the story, their information, what they want to give you. So we've been very fortunate in getting. I mean, Greg Anthony we had come on.
Yeah.
Ex New York Nick, father of
Cole Anthony.
star man Cole, and he came on because he's very much team Orlando Magic now, and he was a great guest to have some fantastic insight. Hopefully he will come back on again. We've been blessed to have various ex-players and obviously the commentary team come on a regular basis, and it's a lot of fun to do. We just have a lot of good time doing it, and we have a very active UK Magic fan base. So there's a lot of chat goes off in the background as well, aside from being live on Twitter and the like. So yeah, it's all good, and we enjoy doing the podcast. Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, there is a surprisingly large number of Orlando Magic fans in the UK, which I've found the more and more I speak to people within the basketball community in this country, the more I realize that actually there's a lot of Magic fans.
My first job in TV I had when I worked on the NBA production for Channel 5. Half of them were Magic fans, and I was like, and the funny thing, that was the year when the Magic went to the finals. So I was there in the studios with all those stressed out fans, stressed out by their jobs and the results. So it was quite an interesting experience. But yes, it's surprising.
I mean, for us, for me, it came about through my daughter she was playing basketball in school. We started watching the NBA together. That would be around 2011, something of that nature. I'm late to basketball. I'm 54 now, so I am very late to actually watching basketball. Considering it was a big thing in the 80s, and some of the games that were on, we had the games over here. I just didn't get into it. Didn't watch it. I was very much into football and rugby. So as a result of my daughter playing, started watching basketball. We went to a couple of GB games. We then went to the warm up for the Olympics, where GB played the USA team, both the men and women games. Started really getting into the NBA, and then decided that, I think about 2014, decided, hey, I need a team. I can't just be watching in general. I've got to have somebody I'm rooting for. And I don't know about you guys. I like to have somebody to support that I feel connected to. And
of course,
for us, we holiday in Orlando whenever we can. We love being out there. So that seemed the natural choice, that we go there. They've got a team, and let's go with that. I'll be honest with you. Didn't enter into the mind as to have we got a star player, are they any good or anything like that. It just felt, this is the place I feel at home when we're over in the States. Let's go with that.
Fair enough.
Perhaps I could have made a better choice, but hey, you made your bed, you lie in it. So but the bonus side of that is that we can combine vacationing and passion for the sport. And thank God we haven't got the West Coast tip-off times, because midnight is bad enough.
It's painful. It's definitely painful.
I would have thought, you mentioned 2012, and you actually you didn't have a bad team. I don't think the Magic has ever had a bad team, right? But I remember watching the Magic, and the Magic was very easy on the eye in the 90s, right? Like if you think Shaq, Penny, there was even a time where you had McGrady,
T-Mac, what a legend.
Patrick Ewing went to the Magic, and Sean
Oh
Kemp.
God, the horrors. Yeah.
Oh my God. And Grant Hill. So you always had good players. That's arguably one of the first super teams ever, right? Although Grant, they were old and injured.
With Grant, it's a case of what might have been.
Yeah.
The injuries that affected him. There's the famous stories of how close we were to Duncan coming and joining that team. Now, what a lineup that would have been.
Yeah.
But hey, water under the bridge, and we're focused on the now. And
absolutely,
those next few years along the line, because we have got quite an exciting set of prospects coming through.
Yeah, definitely starting to bubble up there. And if we do transition to the Magic now as they are currently constructed, I have to make a confession. We did our preseason podcast. I had the Orlando Magic, and I believe I said something along the lines of they might have the worst roster in the league. And
hey, record would say you were correct.
Right. But
I'll bail you out, man. I'll bail you out.
I think there was another word that you used, but I can't quite remember what it was. Like something along the line of the apocalypse or something like that. Something quite bad.
Something like blow it up. Something. Yeah,
no, not blow it up. That's my line. That's my line.
You say go to Seattle or something like that.
Yes, that was me.
So there has been a lot of talk about, does the franchise relocate?
Don't worry, because they said the same thing about my Spurs. So
it was OKC. OKC is the one that said, or New Orleans. Can't remember, one of the two, but not the Magic.
But I said that with the knowledge that the whole season was going to be resting on the young players. And though I was a fan of Cole Anthony's game, I wasn't a fan of how inefficient he was at times last season. And watching him become so much more consistent this season, almost like warms my heart for some reason. I've been rooting for him since he came into the league. He's just one of those young players that I had some affinity to. I'm not sure if it is because of watching his dad on NBA TV, but his growth, and then coupled with some of the pieces that you got in the Vucevic trade, how good Daniel Gafford's looked there. And not, is it Daniel Gafford or
no? Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter Jr. when he's there.
No, he's been fantastic for us.
And then Daniel Gafford is at the Wizards. My mistake.
Yeah.
Wendell Carter Jr. And then you get let me get this right. 4th pick in the draft.
No, number 5
pick.
and 8. 5 and 8 we ended up with, yeah.
And you take Jalen Suggs, and then take Franz Wagner with the 8th pick, and Suggs struggles early.
Yeah, he does.
Wagner kind of surprises everyone by being the more complete player of the two.
Yeah.
But now Suggs is back from injury, and he's actually been really consistent. Both defensively, and then now he's starting to I think he's starting to learn his game on the offensive end. But just how has the season gone for you? I'm
not going to lie, constant losses are draining to watch, and it can sap the enthusiasm. There have been points where Mikey and I have discussed, are we watching the game on the full game, or are you going live with the edited highlights?
Yeah.
I've personally stuck to watching the full game.
Wow.
I don't know how I've managed it in some games. Some of the games have been absolutely dire. But first of all, we've got the 7th youngest roster in the NBA.
Yeah.
There are going to be mistakes made. It's a team that's learning. We've had a horrendous schedule, which isn't that. I'm not going to blame that. But it's actually equaled an NBA record that stood for God knows what it was, for the most games on the road in the first half of the season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's gone back years to a franchise that no longer exists. Yeah, it's some phenomenal figure. And I think the Charlotte Hornets are about the only team that have had a similar sort of road heavy start. Now that means the second half of the season for us is home heavy.
Should be better. Yeah.
Now, we did say at the start of the season when we were doing our preview of looking at the schedule and everything that if we were in any sort of position, this schedule was built for a late run to try and push for a playoff position, or more likely a play-in tournament one. Right. Now, I've got to be honest, I think we, as Magic fans, we all expected more wins than the 9 that we've actually had. But that's as it is at this moment. Yeah. The thing for me is I don't think any of us expected to see the injuries the way we have.
Yeah.
We've lost, was it as of yesterday, we'd lost 305 games through injury. Player games through injury.
It's far and away the worst in the league.
Yeah, the closest team to us is the Clippers is with 229.
Damn. Wow.
It's a horrendous figure.
Mm-hmm.
We've not seen as yet. We haven't seen this season Jonathan Isaac, Markelle Fultz, Etuan Moore, or Michael Carter Williams. There's been extensive injury periods to Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., Chuma Okeke, Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, and
Mo
now
Bamba.
RJ Hampton, and Mo Bamba's had periods out as well. He's been out with COVID and whatever as well. So yeah, there's been some challenging issues, but we aren't the only team in that position. We are the team that have had the greatest lost games, but we aren't the only team in that position. So I'm not making that as an excuse. I think the stat for me that that's made me least concerned about the actual record is the number of games that we've been close to the opposition in the final 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
with it's 17 games in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter we have been either tied or within 5 points of that opposition team. Now, that shows you that we aren't getting blown out. So as a young team that is still learning to play in the NBA, that's a really impressive stat. And it kind of makes me wonder, is the record genuinely as bad? There are problems. Don't get me wrong. Turnovers, in particular, live ball ones, have hurt us all season long, as have fouls. I'll illustrate the Dallas game from a couple of weeks ago. We lost that by, it was 92 to 108. We conceded 53 points from either directly from free throws or from live ball turnovers. When half of the points you are responsible for giving the opposition, that's going to hurt. Now that is something that a young team, you expect mistakes from.
Absolutely.
You expect turnovers from Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs. You expect turnovers.
Every one of them.
Absolutely. And you expect turnovers from people like Hassani Gravett, who came in on a 10-day contract from the Lakeland Magic on a hardship one. You expect those things, especially when the guy arrives, having been on a road trip, having played on a back-to-back, gets off a plane, gets straight onto a plane with the Magic, and plays another set of back-to-backs. He played 4 games in 5 nights. That's a lot. So, there have been circumstances that have caused it, but we are playing with an incredible spirit. They are fighting for one another. They play for one another. Doc Rivers, after we played the 76ers, they were 20-odd points, 25 points in the front at some point, and the Magic came back. And again, they pulled it away, and they came back. And by the end, he said, "You think you've got them, and they just keep coming." And it was the same against the Milwaukee Bucks. They had to bring at Christmas. They had to bring the starters back on because at 20, 30 points up, we came back and we were within 10 when they brought the starters back on, and we still closed it down to, I think, 3 points. I think it was 3 points. So they've got a spirit. They've got a spirit. They've got a lot going for them, and it will sort itself out. The losses are drained, like I say. But it's not doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination.
There's definitely promise there. And like you say, it's just about being competitive, right? As long as your team is competitive, it makes taking those losses a little bit easier. Do you want to talk a little bit about those rookies, those aforementioned rookies?
Absolutely. Who do you want me to start with? Jalen at 5? At 5?
Start with Franz. Start with Franz for me, please.
Franz, cool.
What a player.
Absolutely. I don't think any. Let's be honest. There was not a single Magic fan or person who watches the NBA as a fan expected Franz to be this player that he has turned into so quickly, and he hit the ground running from the summer league, pre-season, and straight into the league. I think very few of us, as I say, were excited, but we had a guest on the podcast when we were looking at the draft. And he said to us then that a player we should look for and very, very likely to take is Franz, and that the Magic were very, very big on taking him with that Bulls pick. So that it was clear that is somebody that they were seriously looking at. And when he was there at 8, they took him, and he just hit the ground running, hit it beyond anybody's expectations. He's got an incredible work ethic. He's tireless. He's versatile. He's played the 1 through 4 position for us this season already. He's got an incredible ability to put the ball on the floor and drive to the basket, and that's something that has developed during the season. His defense has been strong from day one. He can guard positions 1 through 5, and he transitions through those positions during the game. It's seamless. Superb basket IQ, natural court awareness on both ends of the floor, and he reads the play, moves into intelligence positions, and damn, is he tough? He's a strong guy. Happy to mix it up, and like I'm gonna say about Jalen, he's got a strong body that can take the impact. What Franz does have is a really good ability to pass the ball. But if we're going to criticise him for anything, and let's be fair, there's flaws in any young man's game. It's the 3 ball. He's not over strong on shooting the 3. There are times where it can be an air ball or it can be a little bit strong. You know, that's something for development. But his availability is another strength. And that's something I value as a player in players. You have to be available for a team to be part of that team.
It's underrated.
He's good. He's I think I would say, you know, with his 3-point shooting, and I agree with you, like, you know, it's not great, but he has time to develop it. I think that his weakness is his temper. You know, he's got a personality, and he'll stand up to anybody, which can be good and bad, right? So he gets himself a couple of technicals every now and then, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's more with his brother Mo, to be honest. Mo is that
Hot
I was going to call him something, but he's he's that player that gets under every opponent's skin. He just knows how to press those buttons and walk away and leave it to it. But Mo does get the technicals. But with Franz, he's what can I say? His shooting form is good.
Yeah,
it's something that he just needs to finally develop. You know, you look at 48 games played, and he started in all 48, averaging 15.4 points per game, and shooting really well from the free throw. I think it's in 87-88%, something of that nature that he's got. But something that doesn't show up in the box scores is his deflections. Those little things where you just get a hand to it, changes the angle of the ball. They don't show up in the box score. I'm not talking about blocks. I'm talking about those little things where there's a pass and it just intercepts and it goes out to play. And also because of his defensive intelligence, the number of times that the offensive team, the player has to change their course or their intended play. He's just got a superb IQ. You know, you look at what he did during December, his rookie of the month. It's definitely put him in contention for rookie of the year, in my opinion. You know,
he was top of the list for a bit. He was
38 points against the Bucks. You know, Coach Bud raved about him after the games that we played with him. Was he shooting? I did write those down. There we go. 19.5 points per game during December. Shot 47.6% from the floor and 40% from the 3. So it just proves that he does have that ability to hit the 3. Just short of 90% from the free throw line during that period. Phenomenal.
Scorching.
I love the guy, and I didn't expect him to be this player. But you know, one of the things that I think as a fan you have to accept that, you know, the guys in the front office, they do actually know what they're doing. They get paid the money to do their job because they actually know. Most of them actually know what they're doing. I'm not going to say Rob Hennigan, who we had previously, did, because God, did that man screw us over. But you know, you look at John Hammond, Jeff Eltman, they have experience with the Bucks and the Raptors. They've got good experience of rebuilds, and they were big on this man from the start. And to bring him in and see the advantage to bringing him in with his brother on the team, so as you've got somebody there to guide him through a rookie season to avoid some of the pitfalls. So it's been an absolute genius move. Incredible ability the man's got. I'm not going to build him up to being an all-star. He's certainly got potential. I'm not going to build him up as being the saviour for our team. but he is certainly at this moment a cornerstone that no Magic fan would want to see traded.
Yeah, agreed. Do you guys have anything else on Wagner?
Really like him.
He's good.
Good, yeah. Good player. Good
Jose's
player,
in
man.
love.
I'm like, the thing is that when I see European players, like obviously these guys, both Moritz and Franz, they played for Michigan, but they they're German, so they got something different in their blood, and I like every European player, and I think they could be a great fit in the Spurs. So if you want to trade them, let me know.
Well, we're going to talk about Jalen in a minute, but he had a baptism of fire in our first game against Murray. Dejounte Murray absolutely gave him all sorts of problems in his opening NBA game against the Spurs when we were on the road opening night. He had his way with us that night. He had some good form. I like that guy.
DJ is our best player right now, and so thank you. At least somebody saying something nice about us.
I think that you look at what the Magic are trying to create is creating a culture around this young core of players.
Yeah.
And if you're going to take a example, what better example of stability than the San Antonio Spurs, what they've done over the years. If we follow that blueprint, I'm going to be more than happy.
Yeah. And it looks like you're on the right road. So with the fifth pick, you took.
Yeah, we didn't love
Suggs.
The fourth pick, but we dropped.
It's because I kept thinking he was tipped to go fourth in all of the pre-draft draft boards, and he ended up dropping to you guys at 5. So talk to us a little bit about Jalen Suggs.
Right. Well, when he dropped to us on draft night, it was a collective jump in the air celebrating because we had a watch party. As Magic UK, we'd got a couple of friends who were actually in the Amway for it. We spoke to 1 or 2 other podcasts, Sick Man Show and all that sort of thing. We'd also had Dante Marcatelli, who is the Magic's courtside reporter, join us to just talk a little bit as well. So we had a good night. Night. And when he dropped at 5, there was a collective roar of, my God, we've got a franchise player here. Now, this is no disrespect to Toronto Raptors and Scottie Barnes in them passing over him, because I actually think Scottie Barnes is a better fit for Toronto than Jalen would have been. They didn't need another guard. You've got Fred VanVleet. You don't need to take another guy for that position. They've got enough in that position. So taking Scottie Barnes made sense. I think that was a good decision all round. But we were delighted that he dropped. He came in with a lot of expectations, and with Markel being out, he came straight into the starting lineup. And as I've just said, he had a baptism of fire. What was it? Say Murray, because we were on the road to the Spurs opening night. First game in the Amway was New York, so he got Kemba and Derrick Rose going against him. Then we went up to New York, and same guys. Okay, we had a really good game, but that was Cole's game. That first win in New York was Cole's game. He just exploded. Then, like you say, we had Miami. So in comes
Lowry.
Yeah, Lowry, my favourite player. Not a fan of him at all. And then we had Toronto. So in comes Fred VanVleet, and then it's the Charlotte Hornets. So it's LaMelo Ball. They were the 6 opening games. That's a lot of good guards to go against.
Yeah.
And yet it showed. He got he got bullied at points. There were a lot of turnovers. The ball was stolen from him quite a few times. But you've got experienced, good players going against you. Now, at that point, the team that we were fielding was 2 rookies. Cole Anthony, who's in his 2nd year, Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba, who were both in their 4th season. It's one of the youngest starting lineups or least experienced lineups in the NBA. But that starting unit for those first few weeks before it got broken up due to injury was sitting alongside some of the best in the NBA for plus minus. The problem came for us when we had to break up the starting unit and bring in the bench because we didn't have the depth due to the amount of injuries that we've got. But back to Jalen, he did have issues around forcing shots, and he did have issues around turnovers. On what was it, November the 30th, back end of November, last game, we were in Philadelphia. Bit of a swipe by Joel Embiid to get out the ball, and it broke his thumb. The team had him in the gym the whole time, right? Because they sat down and talked to him and felt that his conditioning wasn't what it should be. So he spent the whole time, whilst he got the broken thumb, in the gym working on his conditioning.
Interesting.
And he's described it as being a blessing in disguise because he does feel that he's got himself into a really good physical shape. And I think that's what when you were saying about him since he's come back, his play since he's come back is very much based on his athletic ability and his physical strength.
It's intensity.
Absolutely. And he's able to play. I'm not saying he's playing more minutes, but the minutes he's playing are more impactful because of his better physical condition. He's able to be more effective later in the game. And, you're seeing players benefit from that, particularly, as we've already mentioned, Mo Wagner, who in the last 6 games is averaging something like 15 points a game, which for Mo is unbelievable. And he's been the leading scorer for the team 2 or 3 times. But Jalen has come back and is playing to his strength. He's not taking those speculative threes. He is still shooting the 3 at times. And that, again, as I've said with Franz, that is something that he needs to develop. His jump shot, his step back jump mid-range also needs to improve. Not the best. But man, when that guy drives to the basket, damn, puts the ball on the floor and he is explosive. I don't know if you've seen the one where he posterized DeRozan like in our last game.
But he had like 3 crazy dunks in the last game with steals. Like his athleticism is ridiculous right now.
I've read it described as being, he was a high school college football star. He could have gone to either sport. And when you look at his frame, you can see that he's got a quarterback's frame. And it had been written that now he's got the conditioning back. His footballing ability is showing in his point guard play, that he is able to. He's got the quickness of thought and the speed and the athleticism to avoid the defensive players, to be able to drive himself around, and that's helping him in transition, where you've just said he's picked it up in defense, length of the court, and slamming the ball home, or he's finding a beautiful pocket pass. As I said, Mo Wagner's certainly benefit from his play. He's also underrated as far as defense goes. The guy is very, very strong. Very physically strong. That strength is allowing him to go through contact, but it's also allowing him to take. He's taking a lot of charges. He's very determined. He dives about on the floor to get loose balls. Blocked Dwight Howard the other night against the Lakers. Full on block against.
Revenge
that guy's
for
a
the
big
whole
center.
franchise.
I'm sure. I would love to say that the Amway erupted in cheers, but let's be honest, there were more Lakers fans than the Magic. It's a source of annoyance to a lot of Magic fans over here that the Amway does have a lot of away fans, and our fans are very quiet. Whereas, we tend to be loud and proud, don't we, as British fans and European fans? We tend to like to wear a heart on our sleeve and let people know our emotions.
Sure.
But yeah, his footballing abilities are certainly there. He can drive and he can find space to get a pass away. He's also able to throw a really good pass, full length court pass the other day from one corner to the opposite basket for Wendell Carter Jr. to dunk against was in the Lakers game on Friday night. Beautiful play. Yeah. But yeah, I think Suggs is finding his game, and yeah, let's get there. I really want to see it. I'm excited to get. I won't be going over this season, but I'm excited to be over we're going over for opening night for the start of next season.
Nice.
Fingers crossed. So we're there for 3 weeks. So I'm hoping to get 4 or 5 games in. Nice. I'm excited to see that team. I'm excited to see the team.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I did just want to say on Jalen Suggs that he's again someone that I looked at coming into the draft, and one of the big things about him that that people were saying was that he has this leading mentality. He has a very strong mind. So while it did surprise me that they had to get him to improve his conditioning, it doesn't surprise me his approach to then focusing on that and being single-minded in his will to improve. And I think that, if anything, if nothing else, will carry him through his career. Just having the right mentality, having a strong mentality, and hopefully he will start to show that he is a leader for a team.
And I think that has come through again. I'm really focusing on the last 6 games of this season so far for him since he's come back. His figures are so much improved. He's in the last 6 games, he's had his career high in scoring. He's had his career high in assists, and he's up at 15 points per game over those last 6, along with, what is it?
5 and 4 or something like that.
5.5 assists a game, which is way up on where he was.
Yeah.
So it's all going in the right direction. And hey, I'm feeling really positive. I know we'll still lose a lot, but as long as I'll come back to what I said earlier, if we are competitive and staying in games, I'll live with that, because at the last part is just about the team as a young group of players learning to close out games, to either hold a lead or to not. I mean, we've had games where, the third quarter's been disastrous, 10, 20 points up, and we go back in 15, 20 points down. We've had some horrendous turnarounds. And that's where this team needs to learn, and that's what this season is now about. And that's where I'm looking at for the season and progress.
Yeah.
That's where I'm.
Sounds good. So with that, I think we can let you go.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Again, plug the page, plug the podcast.
Well, we are Orlando Magic UK. Search us under that. We have the website, which is at www.orlandomagicuk.com. And so is it .com or .com UK? .uk. I really should remember, shouldn't I? Christ, I'm on it every chuffing day. Where is it? Hang on. OrlandoMagicUK.com. I was right first time round. I should trust my gut instinct, and everything else, be it Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, it is all Orlando Magic UK, and find us there.
Nice.
We love the interaction.
Yeah. So as Paul has said, some awesome guests there. Go check in the back catalog. There's also writing, read their articles. One of the best and best connected UK fan pages in the community.
Thank you very much. That means a lot to people that you guys recognise and appreciate what we're doing. But again, I think the other thing we like to do, it's not just about the Magic for us. We like to talk hoops. We know about other teams.
Yeah.
We do have. I know that G's not a great fan of certain teams. So he'll always have a good opinion on certain ones. Certain controversial opinions here and there.
But you have to watch to know, right? You have to know to dislike,
and that's the key.
And
that's
so
the
on.
Key. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we love to talk hoops. So anytime,
sure.
guys.
All right. Thanks for being here, man. Take it
Thanks
easy.
a lot. Look after yourself.
Thanks,
See you
mate.
soon.
Thanks.
See you. Bye.
So we're going to carry on where we left off with Paul and talk a little bit about the rookies this season.
Yeah.
So we did a rookie showcase last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
did.
Rookie pod. It was the year
We did.
before when we didn't manage to get one in with the shortened season. We should look at those players at some point. What are they? Third year? Something like that?
But is
100
it,
players. Yeah. We should.
Because we didn't cover them. See how they're developing. But
Nice.
if I just pull up my list, we have got the rookies in order of 2K rating. It's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it was
Hashtag NBA
So was
2K UK, 2K UK 3K. I don't know how many Ks.
not 3Ks, definitely not 3.
Not
Thank you.
All right.
That said, there's a Canadian point guard that plays in the French league that his name is basically it's Triple K. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest. You don't want that.
We have David Duke in the
Yeah.
in the league as well.
Oh my God! What if they team up at some point? He's still young. He's like a young 24, 25-year-old guy. So
Which franchise is it going to be? Don't answer that.
Okay. We all know though, but I'll answer that.
All right. So we've already had Franz Wagner, who was rated 81. He's the third highest rated rookie. And we've had Jalen Suggs, who is currently the 10th highest rated rookie at 75. But I'm going to start at the top with many people's Rookie of the Year favorite, Evan Mobley, rated 83 on 2K.
He's good.
Really good player. He's currently, or at the best of times, playing power forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are riding high in the East, real high in the East. He's part of one of the best defenses, definitely the best rim protecting defenses in the league, alongside Allen, and I mean, I guess we can mention Markkanen and Love.
Why not?
They've been playing big, and part of why they've been able to play big is because of Evan Mobley's defensive versatility. He is a lot of people have compared him to a young Anthony Davis out there. Just with the length and the mobility. And yeah, he's just, I think, as well as his physical gifts, which are plain to see, his IQ on defense is really good. And that allows him to be such a versatile defender, switching out onto smalls, looking through the highlights in the film. There's like instances where he might get beaten by a point guard, but then he'll recover to block them and things like that. I think he did that to Damian Lillard in the last couple of months. And yeah, couple his defense with his ability to roll on the offensive end and to be a lob threat on the offensive end. Some of his off-ball movement is really good as well. And that's led to him being a really impactful rookie. One underrated facet of his game is his passing on offense, on the short roll. He doesn't only make good passes, but he looks comfortable making good passes. If he could add a little bit of dribbling to that, if he could improve his handle a little bit, and then maintain his consistency shooting the ball, he could be a really, really good player. His defense is way ahead of his offense, and I think his defensive potential is quite a fair bit ahead of his offensive potential. So it will be interesting to see whether his ceiling is as high as an Anthony Davis or not. But I think we could see him being maybe like a Rudy Gobert tier of player, right? I don't think his rim protection will be quite at Rudy's level, but I think his offense could be better and his versatility defensively could be better. So I think that's kind of where I see his ceiling as like a 10 to 15 range player. And Any thoughts on the
He's in a good
Mobley?
team. He's in a good team. It's like right team for him. He's learning, thankfully, from a winning culture. Because on this team hasn't had a winning culture in a long time. So Rubio helped him. Now it's Rondo. Kevin Love has become a mentor for all those young players. So good for him. I think he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year if things keep going like this. I mean, there's some other players to consider, but I think he's got an edge.
Got a good shot.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if he was favored for, to win that at the start of the season, but he's now, I think, clearly ahead of everyone else. There's not, obviously Scottie Barnes is up there with him in that conversation, but I think he's managed now to kind of clear the path to getting the title. I think it's not done by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he's going there. I did watch a bunch of highlights of his. He's like a freak of nature almost. Long legs. A lot of the short shots. But I heard comparison to KG. I think that's what kind of I heard also. Maybe not as mad running around, but like certainly just the playing style. If he can stay clear of injuries, then we can get a good one in there. And then I think the NBA, it's a lot of the way your career is going to go. It's down to timing and luck, and I think he got into the right place, right time sort of thing for him. There's the right team for him to shine, and so a surprising winning season as well for the Cavs, because nobody was expecting them to do that good, right? Like especially like we up in our episodes, we always said bottom of the East, nowhere near the top.
Yeah.
But I guess sometimes you just have to, a good bunch of players can do the trick. You might not have a superstar, or they have one in the making there, I think.
Garland's been excellent as well.
Yeah. Also, there's got all the the young players, like the vast majority of them are above average. They are really young, they high picks. So
good class,
right? And they all gel very well together as well. It doesn't seem like there's one that is the natural leader almost, but they form a good team. So I've got good hopes for them and for him in particular.
Yep. So next up on the list, we have Scottie Barnes, rated 82.
Oh, that'd be me. That'd be me. I had to do so. Scottie Barnes is funny, right? So he's obviously fourth pick overall by the Raptors, and I had to dig. He physically reminded me of a young Scottie Pippen, long. Not physically. I'm just like the way he moved. Nothing to do with the game he plays, right?
Right.
Just literally just him moving around the court.
Right.
So I was like, okay, he picked my interest, and I like to see what he does. And he was also leading the pack for Rookie of the Year at some point, and then he kind of fell off now slightly. There was that good clip of him defending on Doncic the other day, which I shared on WhatsApp, which I was like, whoa.
It was lovely.
Sit down. Sit down. And I did what did I find about him? That was quite funny. One little thing that was back from when he was playing in the college basketball, where his averages were not really that high. Like he was 11 and a half points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per games.
Yeah.
But his college went on a 25-0 record with a margin of victory of 39 points.
Oh, who were they playing?
I don't know. But God damn.
Us.
Us, probably.
We play the Grit and Grime team.
Grit and Grime Sunday morning league. Oh God. So when I saw that, I was like, God, that guy must have been a beast. But then you look at his stats, it doesn't really say that. But again, stats can mean anything and everything. And so the reason why I say he reminded me of a bit of a at least physically, a bit of a Scottie Pippen. So his wingspan is absolutely massive. It's 7 foot wingspan. It's absolutely huge. So he can play. I think he can play pretty much everywhere on the court. I think he can play from guard to.
That's what's been said about him, that he is really versatile and can play make. I think that was the big thing about him early season that shocked people, was how good of a playmaker he was and how good he was at making decisions with the ball in his hands. And I think you said that he's sort of started to fade a little bit. And so a lot of that is the fact that Siakam came back and he's a bigger part of the offense. And that's why Barnes' numbers have declined.
Yeah. I mean, the funny coming into the league, he's the rookie assessments they get from scouts. His main weakness was identified as his 3-point shooting. He's averaging, I think, 40+% from three.
Not bad.
Wow.
Which is quite good. So he's averaging 14.5 a game and 7.8 rebounds, shooting 47% almost, I think, there. And he's taking 12 shots a game. So it's not small numbers. He's out there taking his shots and making sure he's seen. He's okay defensively. I was going to say he's promising defensively, but then you see the highlights. It's like, again, it's a young rookie against semi-guard. So it's like, what would you expect?
God. he couldn't lift his arms or stand near him because he was such a guard.
Too much shine. It's too shiny. I can't look at him
because he was disrespectful and he was going to go to hell.
So he's having a good season. He's one of the things that people are pleased with is his consistency, and he's good on pick and roll. So I think these are the two things he's surprising people with. And he's developed kind of a little floater move. I don't know if you've seen that on the highlights. For a guy his size, it's still quite, you see usually that move is for the small kids on the court, right? The short ones, they go with the floater, but this guy is absolutely huge. He's 6'7", I think. It's not the biggest, but it's still quite there. It's got a nice little floater. So I think I see him he probably won't end up with the Rookie of the Year award this year, but it won't be that far off, depending on how your guy Dave is doing, how Mobley is gonna carry on with the season. He won't be that far off especially if he carries on being that consistent in terms of stats. He could be up there. I think he's going to be a very solid player in the league. I kind of want to see him do well. Like, he's the type of player I love watching. He's got very solid, like the basis and everything is there. It's like he's got a good setup. There's a good vibe around him. So I want to see him. But I don't know if we'll see the top 10, 15 players, but with a bit of, keep it serious, keep learning, he'll be there. Yeah,
he's got a bright future for sure. So that is Scottie Barnes. As I said, third was Franz Wagner, 81 rated, which brings us to the 4th rated rookie. Very interesting one. Josh Giddey at 80.
Oh. Yeah, interesting guy. He was picked on number 6 by the OKC Thunder, who had 7 picks on the last draft, I think. So is he the youngest team in the league? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. By a mile, I think.
Yeah.
By a decade, I mean.
By a decade, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So before I talk about his stats, like I watch a bunch of highlights, and in some ways, if I look at a player that I can compare him with, or two, is Manu. Believe it or not, because of the way he passes the ball with those one-handed passes, crazy kind of style of play with the ball. You never know what he's gonna do. The guy is like a freak on the court. He's a lot less athletic than Manu, and Manu was never the most athletic guy. So that's a weakness, right? So he's very young, 19. He's very light, 205 pounds, so very, very light at 6'7". But he plays point guard, right? So If he builds up some muscle, he can get better at that. On his team, he's third in points with how much does he have? I just lost it. Points per game, 17. Sorry, yeah, about 17. He's first in assists, tied first in steals, and tied first in rebounds. So he's like he's very versatile on the court. He had a triple-double this season, which is great. But the thing, he had a triple-double when Shai wasn't playing. So that's why he had a triple-double, I think. Great court vision. Good ball handling. I think he's good. He seems a little bit like electric on the court, but he can actually handle the ball well. That doesn't mean he has good crossover or an explosive crossover. No, he doesn't. He just handles the ball. He knows what to do with the ball. He's a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said, one-handed passes, really good. He's not too athletic. He's very light. His outside shooting is not good. And then one-on-one defense on the ball is not good. So a lot of things to learn for this guy. But I think it's very interesting. So if you see his stats playing for the 36ers in Australia last year, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. So very consistent. You see, so he's a guy that can pretty much do it all. I think he's very smart, and it's a tough thing being in a team like this, right? Like the thing about the Thunder is that they had some really good wins against the Lakers, for example. So that fuels them. So it's a challenge for the coaching staff to keep these guys learning and playing together. Like they got some really interesting players, or like Poku, for example. Like they got massive talent, and Giddey is very, very talented guy. I see him having a very long career in the NBA.
He is a weird one though, isn't he? I put him kind of in that. I guess Lonzo isn't in that group anymore because he can shoot now, but kind of in that sort of Rubio, Rondo class, but a bigger version of them. Dare I say Ben Simmons? I know that's a bad word these days, but just the player that is a playmaker first and foremost, and they don't score in order to open up their playmaking.
Yeah.
I call those guys the Swiss Army knives. As in, like they don't necessarily have to. They can do everything well, but they don't really have a strong. Do you know what I mean? Like a one point that you think that's their strength. Like some players are just like uniform in terms of like they can just score. That's what they get buckets.
Yeah.
Some of them are just like pain in the ass in defense. Some of them are just passes. But some players like him, they can do it all. Not the best in the league in terms of scoring by any stretch. But if you need points, he'll probably get you like 15, 20.
He can. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But if he doesn't have to go and score, he won't do it. He will pass first, right? He'll do the other things.
100%.
And he had the weirdest game against the Clippers. When was this? In December.
That weird stats, right?
Yeah, where he had 18 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 points.
Yeah.
And I thought that kind of just encapsulated the weird type of archetype that he is. He's quite unique in that sense, or rare, I should say, not unique. But yeah, it's that kind of Draymond-like stat line where you're not scoring a lot, but you're doing everything else at a high level. But yeah, I think he will need to improve either the shot or the defense to really stamp his authority in the league.
But you know what's funny, when he came into the league, I knew nothing about him, and I saw him as like this tall white dude with a weird haircut. I was, look, a Larry Bird wannabe, but he's got obviously none of the shooting.
None of the shooting at all.
He does the rest. Larry Bird has this crazy ability to make nice passes and read the court very well. So that might be a bit of a reach. Saying he's the new Australian Larry Bird. A touch.
He's not even the best Australian player right now.
Exactly. Right now.
No.
He's still young though. You know, they're all babies over there.
No, absolutely. He's 20 years old, man. Like,
yeah,
he's all right.
Got time.
Yeah. That brings us to Cade Cunningham, number 1 overall pick. Playing for Detroit, 79 rated on NBA 2K. He is one of my players. Cade is a very talented dude. I think first of all, this rating is going to change when the next set of updates come out. He was injured to start the season. And then his return, I guess, him starting his season immediately brought an uptick in not just performance, but also wins for the Detroit. And that's not to say that they're all of a sudden flying up the standings, because they're not, and they're not going to. But what Cade brings to the team is a little bit of everything. He is a Swiss Army knife, but he can score better than most Swiss Army knives can. He's a big body, another big point guard like Josh Giddey, but he has near enough an NBA body already. Combine that with a more lethal shot, an ability to get to the rim, and finish with his strength. I don't think his touch at the rim is quite there yet. And in all of his highlights of all the points that I saw of him, I'm not even sure I saw him drive left. So that might be something.
No way.
I've only just realized that that all the drive moves were going the other way. But that is something that he'll need to work on, finishing around the basket. And because of that, I think his shooting splits are quite poor around the rim. So he's only shooting 40% from the field, but 32% from three. So he does a lot of settling, but he will pull up for mid ranges and stuff like that. Where he does excel already is in his playmaking ability. So he's averaging 5.2 assists, and that's obviously the missed shots obviously don't show up there. His ability to play make in the more traditional sense, where he's compromising the defense and then finding the open man off of people helping and things like that. He's already got a really good read for the game. And you can definitely see why he went number 1 overall. He's got a bit of everything to his game. He's currently averaging 15.7 points, 5.4 rebounds, 5.2 assists. And even with all of that, I think you guys will remember after his first game, he shot it terribly, but said, I'm not like worried about my stats and me scoring a bunch of points. As long as I'm playing defense and out there helping the team and helping my teammates, I'm happy. And
Very
I think
mature thing to say.
Exactly. So his mentality is also in the right place. So I do think he has, compared to the rest of the people in his class, I do think he has a very high ceiling. And it's just a matter of seeing how he improves on those weaknesses in his game. That will determine how high he can go. Really good player.
The only bad thing going for him is that he's in the second worst team in the entire NBA. So that can take its toll on the the winner's mentality, if you know what I mean.
For sure.
So who would you comparing him to? Like who would you compare the player? Is there something?
People have compared him to Luka because not only is he a big point guard, but he's not the most athletic either. We don't see Luka throwing down these huge dunks and things like that. He does not have the amount of skill that Luka has or had when he came into the league. But he is, as I said, a big point guard who can use his body. He can use his body, and he knows he can use his body. So in terms of just holding off the defender or using a screen to get the step on the defender and then holding them off, keeping them behind him, that's something that we saw and have always seen Luka do. And Cade already has that in his game as well. And that's the comparison. But he's not quite that. He's not that explosive of a scorer. He's not as great of a passer as Luka was and is. And yeah, but he's got some of the same characteristics.
Interesting. Yeah. I like I said, I didn't know much. That's funny because he got picked first, right? And I was like, even when the night before the draft, I was like, I virtually know nothing about him. Like I've heard his name like probably once. But from what I've seen from him, is pleasantly surprising. Like he's nice to watch. I think that's what I like. I like watching him. Watching his highlights there's a lot of good stuff in there. Again, my main issue with him is that he's going to be he plays for the Pistons basically. That's the only thing. And I don't know where they go from. How do they go from where they are right now? How do they improve?
The draft.
No, well, they'd be drafting high for the next few years, but in that, following that rhythm.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully he gets a couple good pieces around him, and then we see more of him. That'd be great.
Yeah. You got anything to add, Jose? Or are we good to go?
Yeah, exciting player. I like his maturity. You mentioned it. I think he was facing he was another rookie, and the other rookie, I can't remember right now off the top of my head who it was. He was just very outspoken and screaming on the game and everything. Cade was, his face was like poker face, playing for the team to win. They didn't win, but he plays like that. So that's really good to see. Very refreshing.
Yeah, he's got a good head on his shoulders for sure. And next up we have Jalen Green, rated.
Yay.
What number is that? 76 overall. Tied for 6th.
Yeah, that's
Tom,
me. Jalen Green. Talking about teams that are underperforming, he's on the Rockets, which second from the bottom in the West. So not a good spot to be in right now. So he, again, only 19 years old, so very, very young. Keep that in mind with Jalen Green. Again, I love to dig a little bit into their past, and saw that he received a bunch of offers from NCAA Division I basketball programs, including Arizona, Florida State, and a bunch of other great places before turning 15 years old. So he's been,
oh wow,
mentioned for a long time, and turned them all down to go play in the G League. Yeah, so he went from the G League to being picked 2nd overall, which is a great achievement as a point guard. So again, his scouting reports were like, oh, great, elite athleticism, handling skills, can score from anywhere and everywhere, and he can be an on and off ball threat. So I was like, okay, cool. And then those comparisons sites when they go into who does he remind you of? Some of those names would be like, whoa, he's only 19, bear in mind, so he could turn out to be one of those guys. So Zach LaVine, Ray Allen, Kelly Oubre Jr., Bradley Beal, and then watch out, Clyde Drexler, or Kobe.
What?
This the exact same face I pulled when I went to the website. I went,
how can you be compared to Kelly Oubre Jr. and Kobe?
They're like opposites.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those websites are just.
It's the Kelly Oubre one that's totally wrong, by the way.
Yeah. It's gotta be out of there. Again, so at the moment this season, he's played about 30 games, 30 minutes per game, which is a good bunch of minutes for a rookie, averaging 15 on 40% shooting, only 30% 3-point shooting though. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, half a steal, almost half a block. So his strengths are supposed to be an explosive first step, which gets him to go to the rim and attack and dunk on people, and then go past his defender. Nah, the only thing is he's picked up a bunch of injuries from the get-go, so he's not been able to display that just yet. He's been in and out of the rotation for quite a lot. So he, and also he's had Kevin Porter Jr. on the same spot, which is it's not helping him getting. Well, he's playing 30 minutes, which is a good bunch of minutes, but
he needs a point.
Having a good a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. on your same spot is a bit. You're not going to go and have that much freedom. I think, again, bear in mind, only 19. I think he's got a high ceiling. I don't know if we're talking the next Kobe, obviously, because that's a reach. But like, if you can get a close to Zach LaVine career as he is this season, that's good, right? So like, if you can be the second option on your team, maybe the first one, who knows how it develops. If he gets healthy and doesn't pick up as many injuries as he's had so far, you could be, especially on that Rockets team, you could be the number one option offensively. You could be the guy who's maybe the cornerstone of the franchise, but I don't know the franchise player, but like somebody important on the roster. I don't know. Some people are saying he could be an all-star, could be and should be an all-star in the next.
Compared to Kobe.
Exactly. Compared to Kobe, it's more than that, right? It's first team NBA and all that good stuff. Yeah. But again, only 19 though. I think, and having jumped the college case, the college phase, and going straight from the G League, I think it's because we can all watch the G League and it's not the greatest in terms of quality and it's fairly low. So if you tell me he comes from overseas, from Australia, from Europe, or like even Japan or whatever, like you can there's professional experience there, but jumping from the G League to the NBA without having gone to college, this is where I'm like he's gonna have to be careful, and hopefully he can pick up on a lot of basketball IQ and all that stuff that you will need once your physicality is not as dominant as a dominant part of your game anymore. You know what I mean? Like the Westbrook debate which we have, which is like, now your body is not as explosive as it was. You gotta readapt and use your knowledge differently. So that we'll see. Time will tell. He's only 19 again. It's the fourth time I say it, but that's something we need to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Jalen Green, shouts to the Philippines, shout to Aaron.
Yeah.
And then we finish up with Alpren Sengun, tied for sixth, as I said. Also rated 76. Talk about it.
Should be higher.
Turkish player. What's interesting about him is that, again, he's only 19. He's also on the Rockets, so one of many Rocket teenagers. You can throw in there Spanish Usman Garuba, so it's quite good. He used to play for Real Madrid. But so Alpren Sengun, he used to play for Besiktas in the Turkish Super League. And he was the youngest MVP in the Turkish Super League at 18 years old last year. So a very, very interesting player when you think about it this way. Before the draft, he was basically considered the second best center in the draft, after Mobley, right behind Mobley. So, big guy, 6'9", 6'10", about 240 pounds. In his team, is like 7th in points, 4th in rebounds, 4th in assists, tied first in blocks, which is good. His footwork is, I think, his highlight. Near the basket, you can tell this guy learned how to play basketball with the best. Turkey, of course, has a very strong tradition of good basketball players. His footwork is like, I was impressed when I saw his highlights. He can finish up with any hand. His patience, his decent passing as well from the post, and decent handles as well for a big man. Now I said he's 240 for his position is very light still, very, very light. His mid-range is kind of okay, and he doesn't take threes, just like 1 or 2 a game, and his percentages are not good. Now, before he came into the NBA, he was kind of compared to Nikola Vucevic, kind of compared to Domantas Sabonis. They threw in a little bit of Jokic in there, but it's like the same thing we just said about Kobe, right? Like if you can't compare it to an MVP, then it's like, oh, really? So when I thought about this guy, I was like, okay, let's look at the international bigs in the NBA. They're either really good or their career kind of like goes super under the radar, right?
Absolutely.
So if you think about 3 bigs right now that are doing well, one of them is Vucevic, who is not a good defender. He's not massive, but he can shoot the 3 ball and the mid-range, right? Very consistently. Jokic, obviously the best player right now, probably in the last 2 weeks, in the NBA. He's just a different monster, right? And then you have another player like Nurkic, for example, who is massive, very strong, good footwork and very experienced. So I don't think he's near any of them yet, but he could. He has, as I said, the fundamentals of a good basketball player. So he knows how to play. He knows where to stand. He knows how to finish up a one-on-one in the post, and he can pass. So very promising future. He could be a very good role player in any team that needs a big that can do the dirty work and give you your 10 points and 10 rebounds. That's what he can do.
What do you think of Sabonis comparison in terms of,
as in Domantas, or because not Arvidas Sabonis?
No, Arvidas. No, Arvidas.
I think it's just the way that he hustles, right? Like, so he was compared to Domantas because of the hustle and the fundamentals as well. But Domantas is on a different level and also different position as well. I don't think Sengun could play power forward or small forward. He's a center. You see his footwork, like he's a center. I like watching a player that knows how to move the post, So it's good to see him play. But again, he's gonna be a good role player, or he's gonna go back in Europe and dominate. Because he's more equipped to play organized, kind of like half-court basketball that they play in the EuroLeague.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than the up and down. Yeah, I've been thrilled by some of his passing. That's been the highlight of watching him for me. And I do hope that he can carve out a career in the NBA, because that ability to pass out of the high post, ability to pass out of the low post is I love watching that kind of stuff. And I think more teams need to take advantage of that, just because it's like pure playmakers are so difficult to integrate or difficult to come by in today's league. So I think teams that need like a bit more playmaking should actually look at getting it from the post a little bit.
Absolutely. I think he would have been a good pick for the Spurs. As we said, like, European players that can pass the ball. That would have been a perfect match for them. And I would have loved to see him on the pop, though.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah.
It could at some point, there could be a trade, and
I don't think
the Rockets could go a different direction and something.
I think Pop is leaving this season, but but yeah, good, interesting player. I think I'm excited to watch him grow, either in the NBA or with the Turkish national team as well. So,
it'd be interesting to see in the Euro World Cup, or whatever the next competition the Turkish team's playing. So.
And again, he's only 19, so one more player that we can be like, wow, the potential is great.
Especially bigs, how they always develop late. He might not be in his best form until he's 26, 27, right?
Agree.
Like it could be could be a sleeper. It could be a monster for in 6-7 years. That's going to be interesting.
He's talented. The Spurs could have had him. They took Josh Primo with the 12th pick, and Sengun was sitting there at 16 for Houston to pick up. So we will wrap things up there. Yeah, I think that's it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on all platforms. 5 stars. I mean, do I need to say more?
We need to say more is that you need to get on TikTok. Apparently, that's what the Orlando Magic guys are doing. You gotta sort out a dance. Get on
told
TikTok.
you OnlyFans wasn't the way. It was TikTok.
OnlyFans, yeah, it's all right. OnlyFans, but TikTok is where it's at right now. So hot.
Man. Is that where the kids are at?
Mm.
So all right, you're gonna have to come up with like a GNG dance somehow.
Gotta work something out. We will.
Yeah, we will. So I've been your host, David Sago. He's been Thomas Arnold.
He is still there. Goodbye.
And he has been Jose Garcia Vidal.
Adios.
And we are out of here.